It was 3:17 in the night when a message arrived in the deep, nameless streets of Hong Kong. It was not written in words, just a black envelope carrying a name written in blood-red ink, John Harry. In the hidden world of martial arts, that name was known as a call of death. Whoever challenged it never returned. Bruce Lee, a young, fearless master with nerves of steel, opened the envelope and closed his eyes for a moment. His teacher's words echoed in his mind. The one who does not fear death is a true warrior, but the one who dies without reason is a fool. Bruce Lee placed the envelope on the ground, clenched his fist, and said quietly, "I will come." That night, no one knew that these few words would become the most costly decision of his life. John Harry's real name was never recorded in history. He was a man declared undefeated in 8 countries. His body was like a machine, 6 feet 3 inches tall, weighing 220 pounds of pure muscle, with eyes as cold as a desert night. He was a master of Sambo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and a secret Eastern European combat technique. He had fought 29 battles, and in all 29, his opponents either ended up in the hospital or lost their lives. It was said that a single strike from his knee could break a human rib cage, and his chokehold could render a man unconscious in 16 seconds. John Harry did not fight for money. He fought because he found a strange peace in the pain of others. And now, he had challenged Bruce Lee, a warrior whose speed the world was only beginning to understand. Beneath the harbor of Hong Kong, 30 feet below sea level, there was a labyrinth known as the Pit. It was a place where the most brutal, secret, and forbidden fights of the century took place. There were no rules, no referee, no bell, just 2 bodies in a dark room, and the moment when one of them fell and could not rise again. The walls were stained with old blood, turned black over time, each stain a story, a final breath. Hundreds of shadowy spectators sat silently, powerful and ruthless figures watching as if they were part of a ritual of death. When Bruce Lee entered the room, he felt something different in the air, heavy, silent, and violent. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and then heard footsteps approaching from the other side. When John Harry entered, the entire hall fell into a strange silence. He looked at Bruce Lee, no greeting, no words, just a cold, empty stare that said he already considered him dead. The fight began, and John Harry lunged forward with a speed no one had seen before, a combination of brute force and deadly precision. Bruce Lee barely dodged the first strike, but the second hit his ribs, and a horrifying crack echoed through the room. Bruce staggered but did not fall. He pushed his pain aside and countered with a lightning-fast strike to John's jaw. John stepped back just 1 step and then smiled. It was a smile that sent chills through everyone watching, a smile that meant the fight had only just begun. By the 20th minute, Bruce Lee's condition had changed. John Harry used a hidden technique, one that targeted the body internally, leaving no visible wounds but causing deep internal damage. Bruce's left arm was caught, twisted, and then came the sound every fighter fears, the breaking of bone. A suppressed cry escaped Bruce's lips, his eyes filled with tears, not of pain, but of rage. Blood flowed from his forehead, his ribs were damaged, and every breath felt like fire burning inside him. The spectators remained silent, the kind of silence that comes before the end. But Bruce Lee was still alive, and there is something within a living man that refuses to break, no matter how shattered the body becomes. John Harry slammed Bruce to the ground and pressed his knee against his chest. It was the moment when everyone held their breath, the moment that usually ends a fight. But there was still a flicker of light in Bruce Lee's eyes. He cleared his mind of pain for a split second, gathering every last ounce of strength. John raised his hand for the final blow, and in that exact moment, Bruce moved. The movement was so fast that John did not even realize it, like lightning reversing direction. In an instant, the position changed. Now John was on the ground and Bruce's trembling, blood-covered hands were around his neck. Bruce's heart was pounding, not out of fear, but because of the decision he had to make in the next few seconds. John Harry laughed, his voice strained but still filled with pride. "You can't kill me. You are not that kind of man." Tears filled Bruce Lee's eyes. He truly was not that kind of man. But then a flash came from John's coat, a small poisoned blade moving toward Bruce's ribs. In that moment, Bruce had less than a second. He acted on instinct, without thought, without hesitation. His grip tightened, a faint sound followed, and John Harry's body went still. Silence filled the room, so deep that Bruce could hear his own heartbeat. When Bruce Lee stood up, his body was shaking. Bones broken, blood flowing, fire burning inside, but his face had turned to stone. From the crowd, an old man stepped forward, the silent authority of the gathering, and said softly, "What happened here tonight will never leave this place." Bruce said nothing. He understood that this world was ruled not by words, but by fear. Every witness that night accepted a silent oath, not by law, not by faith, but by the fear of death. John Harry's body disappeared into the sea, no grave, no record, no trace. Bruce was placed into a dark car, his wounds treated, and he was left on the other side of the city. When the sun rose the next day, the world knew nothing, but Bruce knew everything, and that knowledge became his heaviest burden. Bones healed, wounds closed, blood dried, but something inside him never recovered. For months, Bruce could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw John Harry's final stare. Once he told a close friend, "That night, I did not kill my enemy. I killed a part of myself that may never return." The warrior who once feared nothing no longer went near deep waters. The sea reminded him. He continued his training, taught his students, and smiled before the world. But those who knew him closely understood that something had changed. There was a depth in his eyes that had not been there before, a depth born not from experience, but from an unspoken pain. And this secret, this burden, this silent scream, Bruce Lee carried alone for the rest of his life. Years later, when Bruce Lee had become a global name, a journalist once asked him, "Have you ever fought a battle you do not want to talk about?" Bruce remained silent for a long moment, so long that it made the journalist uneasy. Then he quietly said, "Some fights are not fought to be won." The journalist did not understand the meaning of those words, but those who had been present in that dark pit that night understood. That night was never recorded in history. No newspaper, no document, no witness who spoke. Because some events are not written in history, they are written in souls, and once written there, they can never be erased. Bruce Lee was a great warrior, but after that night he learned that true strength is not in killing, but in carrying the weight that comes after. And that weight, silent, heavy, and stained with blood, stayed with him until his final breath.